Hello everyone and welcome to what is definitely already one of the greatest games ever played. It was played in round 6 of the Romanian Championship between Grandmaster Gergely-Andras-Gyula Szabo and FIDE Master Nicodim-Cosmin Stepanencu. This game is so complicated that I will not even bother you with their names. I will refer to them as Szabo and Steve. It doesn't really matter because the moves here are so incredible. You guys will really enjoy this one. Okay, it's probably not the greatest game ever played for me. It's of course Nizhmedinov versus Chernikov 1962 Soviet Team Championship. But you know, to each his own. For you, very well, this could be the greatest game you've ever seen. Now let's check it out. There is quite a lot to enjoy here. So Szabo has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to c6. Steve goes for the Caro-Kann defense. We have d4 d5, and now the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann. We have pawn to e5 and bishop to f5. Now, you might be wondering, are we seeing the bayonets in this video? Not really. h4, the Tal variation. We have pawn to h5 and now bishop to d3. Very, very nice that what will probably be considered the game of the year features a Tal variation. We have bishop to d3, bishop captures, queen captures, and now there are two main lines here for black. One is e6, the other is queen to a5 check. Others really aren't ever played because you know, the engines just say so. So queen to a5 check going for the second most popular line, knight to d2, and now pawn to e6. We have knight to f3 and now knight to h6. You could also go to e7 and then to f5. Everyone just goes knight to h6 here. Probably you don't want to block your bishop for some reason. I have no idea what the reason is, because the knight always ends up on f5. So here we have castles, knight to f5, and now pawn to c4. This has all been played before, nothing new here. The knight is on a spectacular square on f5 because h5 has been played, and you don't have to worry about g4 at any point. So bishop to e7, putting pressure on the h4 pawn, and pawn to g3. We have castles, and now pawn to b3. Again, all been played before, nothing new here. We have rook to d8, and now there are a couple of games that reach this position, the most notable one being from 2019 that ended in a draw between Zhong Zhao and Quang Liam Le, where bishop to b2 was played. But here we have rook to d1, and it is now as of move 13 that we have a completely new game. And the black replies with a wonderful strike in the center, pawn to c5. Makes sense, the queen is on d3, you do want to open up the center. D captures on c5, and now queen captures on c5. Here, black, if black wanted to continue in great style, then maybe knight to c6. But okay, queen captures on c5, bishop captures was also an option. Knight to f1 now, and here comes d captures on c4, and this is a deadly dare to give someone who already appears to be a very aggressive player. You know what he will play here, and he is some more than 200 rating points higher rated than you. Of course, queen captures on d8 has happened here. So queen captures on d8. It's a queen sacrifice, but basically a queen for rook and bishop with very, very active play. And if you guys are interested, what does our good friend the engine think about this move? Well, the valuation is 0.00, so it's a nice position. You can play it. King to h7, and now comes knight to e3. If you go knight to g5 check right away, king g6, there's no good follow-up here for white. So white needs to bring more attackers closer to the black king. So knight to e3, now comes queen to a5, and this is a very nasty move, putting pressure on that rook. Also, you could maybe capture, then white will not be able to capture. Also, if the knight moves, you can bring the queen to e1 with check. Also, the e5 pawn will hang if you move the knight. So the queen on a5 really controls everything. But here comes knight to g5 check, king to g6, and now the incredible knight to g2, offering a full rook. But if you capture the rook, it's game over. If the rook is captured, then look at this: knight to f4 check, king to h6, and now knight captures on f7 with check, forking the king and the queen. And after you move, just knight captures, you're up a full piece. As you can see, you have a bishop, your opponent doesn't. You're gonna capture on e6, have a passed pawn, and this is of course completely winning for white. So black, our good friend Steve here, finds an incredible refutation of this idea. He plays knight captures on g3. And indeed, if the knight is captured, it would be very, very bad. For example, if f captures on g3, now queen captures on d8 is perfectly fine, because now knight to f4 check, king to f5, and after something like bishop to e3, you can play knight to c6, the king is super safe on f5, there is no checkmate, and black defended well, black will win this game. So instead, after knight captures on g3, we have knight to f4 with check, king to f5, and now knight captures on f7. Very nicely done. Now the rook can come to f8, and also the knight can come to d6 with check, which is a huge problem. Look at this, queen to c3, now attacking the rook, and it would be pretty bad if you play rook to b1, then the queen can come to c to attack the rook, and the bishop then knight to e2 check can come, and you would slowly but surely eliminate the attackers around the black king. But here the spectacular king to g2, offering another rook here. But of course, if you capture this rook, it will not end well for you. If you capture this, then knight to d6 check, and now look at this, king captures on e5. If you could play this, it would be great. So let's play knight captures on c4 check. Now the knight controls the b2 square, and you cannot remain on the dark square on the dark squares. So king to f5, but now you play rook to f8 check, king to e4 f3 check, and now the only square that remains is a dark square, and once you play this, bishop to b2 check will win back the queen. So captures, and you are just up too much material here, you are completely winning. So instead, after king to g2, knight to e4 was played, but now comes rook to f8. And remarkable as it is, as this is one of the craziest positions we've ever analyzed on the channel, the engine says, yeah, this is 0.00, nothing to worry about here. And the way to actually play this is to play knight to d7. You have to offer the rook on a8, but white cannot capture this. If you capture, then queen captures on a1 is possible, and then you're just down material without any sort of attack. But even getting a draw here would be incredibly difficult. Knight to d6 with a double check, you have to go for this. King to g4, now bishop to e3. Now you are threatening pawn to f3 with check. So here, if you capture the rook, then of course f3 check, king captures on h4, and knight to g6 will be checkmate, so that's out of the question. You're gonna have to play knight captures on e5, and now look at this, knight captures on e4, queen to c2 now, attacking the knight, and now you have to settle for a trade here. Rook captures, queen captures on e4 with check, king to g1, and now knight to f3 with check, and this probably ends up in a draw. For example, king f1, b5, you attack the rook, rook goes after the black king, and now we would probably see a draw by repetition here with something like knight h2, knight to f3 check repetition. But instead of this, after rook to f8, he did not find knight to d7, he played king to g4, which makes sense, you want to get away from all the checks, but now the position is completely winning. It's actually a forced mate in 7, and the only reason why I'm not calling this an immortal game is because white missed this forced line. A lot of moves are winning here for white, but there's just a beautiful forced mate in 7, so feel free to pause the video and try to spot this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that you always need to sacrifice even more material. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to h6 with check. And that's it. If you capture here, then knight to g6 is checkmate. There are no squares. Our good friend the bishop covers g5. And if you don't capture, if you go, for example, g captures on h6, then comes knight to d3. And this is the real star move that you have to spot. Knight to d3, because now both the knight and the bishop cover the f4 square, and there's no defense against rook to f4 checkmate. It's it's just stupid. Here, whatever you play is just checkmate. There's nothing you can do. Even if you play king captures on h4, then there's bishop captures on h6. Again, nothing can be done here. And if queen captures on d3, rook to f4 will be checkmate. Whatever you play, rook to f4 will be checkmate. It's just what a position. So instead, after this king to g4, knight to h6 was not spotted. That's the only reason I'm not calling this any mortal. Bishop to e3 was played, and now, okay, black does have some chances of defending, but still white is objectively still completely winning. Knight captures on f2 was played. Now comes knight to d5, another spectacular idea. It comes with tempo. The queen is attacked, and it doesn't really matter what you play. If you play e captures on d5, then this idea becomes possible. Probably now Szabo spotted it as knight to h6 now will be the only winning move, and after king captures on h4, rook to f4 check, knight to g4, and now just rook to h1 check. Now this rook comes back into the game as well, and rook captures on g4 will be checkmate, as it's also a double check from the bishop and rook. So instead, after knight to d5, black is without options. He plays the best move, that is queen captures on a1, but it's not enough. Again, knight to h6 with check. So Szabo found knight to h6, only a move after the immortal line. King captures on h4. Now you have to play bishop captures on f2. You don't want to play rook to f4 check now, because the knight can block. So bishop captures on f2 with check. It's now actually a forced mate in 14. King to g5, bishop to e3 check, king to g6, knight to e7 with check, king to h7, now knight to f7, going for checkmate here. So knight to c6, you have to guard the h8 square and give up the rook, okay, knight to d7 could be played, knight to c6 is what was played. Now knight to g5 check, king h6, knight to f7 check, king to h7, repeating the position once, but now Szabo realizes that he has to capture the rook. So knight to g5 check, king to h6, knight captures on e6, another beautiful discovery, king to h7, knight to g5 check, king h6, knight to f5 with check, king to g6, and now knight to h4 with check. King has to go back to the h file, only square is the h6 square, and now knight to f7 with check, king h7, knight to g5 with check, king to h6, and now finally rook captures on a8. And you're probably thinking, all right, I probably saw everything now in this game, but no, you haven't. Look at this. Now checkmate is being threatened, so black defends, pawn to g6, very nicely done, the only move that stops checkmate for the moment. But here comes rook to g8, now threatening rook captures on g6 checkmate, knight captures on e5, defending the g6 pawn, and now comes the spectacular rook captures on g6. We can do it in slow motion now, and it was in this position on move 43 that Nicodim-Cosmin Stepanencu resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The only move he has is to accept the rook, and after knight captures on g6, knight to f5 check will be checkmate, and what a spectacular game. A double knight checkmate, the bishop covers the knight on g5. White sacrificed everything, and it was just an amazing game. And what's remarkable is that, like in my favorite game, Nejmedinov versus Chernikov 1962 Soviet Team Championship, the queen sacrifice after you allow the engine to evaluate the position for long enough actually gives a 0.00. So it really is a beautiful positional queen sacrifice, and here it worked like a charm. Stepanencu was defending well, but at some point he didn't find that crucial continuation, that is knight to d7 here. But I mean, who finds this? It's I mean, it's such a silly idea. Like no one finds this. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and that you have remembered everything about this game, because you really need to show this to as many people as possible, especially on a chessboard. Like, don't just send them the link. Go for a beer or for some coffee. Bring a chessboard and then show them this game. Everyone needs to see this game like today. So yeah, once again, really hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Tony, and I would like to thank Ravishing Reptiles YouTube, Anthony Moore, ChessAlly.com, and Mereshan Modi for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.